This is the room I spend most of my time in, and I honestly hate it. Probably because it's my office and I work from home. It also just is unfinished. Like, it has the bare bones of a room where it has like the appropriate necessary furniture, but it just was never given that extra touch of love and effort. I'm planning on doing a little bit of a blitz this weekend. That's it. This is a very realistic room makeover, especially because it's taken 6 months and I'm unhappy with it. This room has basically been one design problem after another. It's a large square room, which sounds nice, but sometimes a perfectly square room can make settling on the right layout a little tough. This is how it looked on day one, just so you can understand how rough this really started. Another challenge with the layout is that one of the walls has 2 doors on it, which really wastes some space. This is our living room, but it also serves as our guest room and my work from home office, so we need this room functioning at a high level, okay? When I'm done with this room, it's gonna be cozy, it's gonna feel spacious, it's gonna have designated zones, and dare I say, it's gonna give off a mood that is not sad. And at the end, I'll tally up and report what everything actually costs. So let's head in the Wayback Machine and go all the way back to January when I was just starting to grapple with these design conundrums. Right now, this room is undecorated, and it just reminds me of how important decorating your space is, because honestly, it feels kind of haunting. There's nothing on the walls. All our art is here on the floor. It's just not a space I really enjoy being in. We addressed the first order of business, which was covering these ugly carpeted floors with a pretty cool rug. We opted for a very large rug instead of an extremely large rug, which I somewhat regret. But alas, we're here. It looks better. I think a round coffee table will be really good for everyone mentally. We will all feel like a part of the group. So we decided on a diameter we wanted. And then my friend and I were driving along the road last weekend. And what do we see? Like, out in the boonies, we see this round coffee table sitting on the side of the road. So you best believe I picked it up. So let me bring it in here so you guys can see her. She's really cool. You're gonna like her. I mean, come on. Okay. She's amazing. I work right there on my old desk that I'm pretty over. I feel like it's this Wayfair, like veneer, fake wood thing that I thought was cool, and now my design style is evolving and I don't think it's cool anymore. So I'm gonna try to get a new desk. I am open to covering that door. The door on that side goes through the back of my closet. So my closet has 2 doors. And I realized it's to actually get large furniture into this room because the main entrance is pretty narrow and on a weird corner. So you need that door, but it's not really like a functional door. So I'd be open to covering it with like a bookcase once we get the furniture we need in here. I think that'd be fine. Okay, so we should talk about layout in this room on this monstrosity of a couch, which really feels like a monstrosity right now. But when we first moved in, we had the movers put the couch over there by the window. And when you walked in the room, it was just all couch, this huge couch. Moved it over here to be on the side of the entryway. And so now when you walk in, right now it's TV, but ideally it will be bookcases, chairs, some things that have less visual weight as the focal point rather than just couch. So that's the vision. That's why I moved it over here. I recognize, like when it was over there, it was off the wall, which is what you're supposed to do. It is on the wall over here. And we do have the real estate to not put it on the wall. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I think it works on the wall because you're gonna walk in. I know people are gonna be mad at me, but that's just what I'm gonna do until I find a better plan. So I think I found a better plan. I'm a little scared to put a couch against the wall on interior design YouTube. We all know what happened to the last guy who did that. Oh, mama, trapped in an orb.
Save me, mama. Oh, mama. They trapped me in the orb.
I feel like that joke is going to be really tired by the time I post this, but I don't care. Plan one was to have the couch on that wall across from the entrance, and I feel like we're wasting precious space. What I've decided is I'm going to flip the couch and place it over here and flip the rug as well. This is one I wish I had like a slightly bigger rug. I'm going to move the desk closer to the corner and we're going to cover that door up. I can move the couch all the way back and I could put the chair in the corner, but then everything is super spread out. So I want to really bring all of the seating elements closer together so that we can really gather around this round coffee table and create a sense of place. Oh, mama. Trapped in an orb. Oh, mama. Cool. And we've got bookshelves. Now that's what I call a living room. We got these from Facebook Marketplace for $360, doll hairs, and they're Danish teak furniture. And the amount of vintage Danish teak furniture from the mid-century that's still in circulation kind of blows my mind. I did not anticipate that the color would match this exactly between these wooden pieces. It almost looks like they're part of a set. I went back and forth about putting them next to each other and creating this asymmetrical built-in look, or putting them on either side of the TV and creating a symmetrical layout. But I opted for the symmetrical layout for two reasons. First, it clearly defines the living room zone and makes it feel separate from the office zone of the room. And second, it worked much better with the outlet placement, which is just a practical consideration. This funky red chair came into our lives for free. And I was kind of spinning about this corner of the room because I thought layout wise, it would work really well with an armchair with an ottoman. And I was trying to find that on Facebook Marketplace, and it led me down the very tumultuous path of trying to source a cool vintage armchair on Marketplace because like the $2,000 to $5,000 range starts to become reasonable, starts to become the norm for like these really nice old chairs. Or if you want one that has a little bit more wear and tear, you can maybe get down to like the $1,000 range. And so I was really just spinning because this series, I want it to be practical. I want it to be realistic about how I actually decorate on a real budget. And I think having people watching makes me want it to look really good, which means trying to justify spending like $2,000 on a chair. And I probably will spend $2,000 on a chair in my life, but I'm not there yet. There's also the world of knockoff chairs. So, my first thought was an Eames chair. I think you get into design just a little bit and you want to get an Eames chair. And I felt like it might be a little too on the nose. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you have an Eames chair or an Eames replica. I don't know. I'm sure we can fight about it in the comments. There's all these other really cool chairs. I got into this Brazilian one that is the name is escaping me. I will put it on the screen. And then I became zeroed in on that one. I was like, I have to have this one, whether it's vintage or some sort of replica. It will fit perfectly here. And I really wanted an ottoman, but Austin brought me back down to earth. Like this is a cool chair. Tell me if I'm not the only one who's been down this road, and how much are you willing to spend on an armchair? What's the coolest MCM armchair you could get? But for now, we go with the $0 chair. So that's like pretty much all of our books, which is not filling this up very nicely. And I think the reason for that is we try to keep only what we need, like our absolute favorite books of all time. And we are really big proponents of the public library. And so this portion of the video is sponsored by the concept of the public library. And I know I'm probably preaching to the choir on this. Okay, so if I am, just snap your fingers. But if you haven't been to the public library since 2004, things have changed over there. I had a friend, maybe like a year ago, ask me, how much does a library card cost? And she's a smart cookie. So it makes me think that maybe we need to get a little bit more information out there. A library card is free, first of all. Let's start there. It's a public service that you're paying for. So your library probably has an app now, and you go on the app and you just reserve all the books that tickle your fancy. They will take those books, ship them from different libraries, amalgamate them all together, put your little name card on there and say, these are for Lauren. And then you go pick them up for free. Yeah, that's right. It's free, which we all know, but sometimes we forget. The last thing I did before our big Blitz weekend was I hung this rug as a tapestry to cover the extra door using quilt hangers. I'm using I loosely here. This elegant, simple, and slightly rickety desk was free on Marketplace, and together when you pair them, it's almost as if the door was never there. So now I have this designated workspace tucked into the corner of the room instead of having to float in the middle between these two doors. Present day. So now that we're back to the present day, I have two things that really piss me off about this room. One, the lighting. My friend walked into this room and she got the vibe and she's like, ooh, Smoka's Lounge. And I think that's because it's really dark in here. Not because it smells like cigarettes, because it doesn't. But it's also because it's groovy as hell. So these nice shuttered windows are very cute, but they just block even more of the light that we so desperately crave. We've acquired a couple tiny lights, but we need one big light. This light is just not that bright. And I also want to make a paper lamp. I saw on the internet this crafting class in New York where you could make your own like Japanese inspired paper lamp and then just put a bulb underneath. And I think I gleaned as much information as I need to try to attempt it. So that is going to be my big crafty project for this room. And then I also probably just need to buy another big lamp as well. The other real sticking point in this room is the freaking rug. So the beginning of my dining room video, I mentioned that this house is carpeted, and I knew I wasn't gonna like that. I didn't even realize how much. It's really frustrating because the carpets are very ugly, so you want to cover them, and you do, and then at least in this room, because the couch is so heavy, the corner of the couch like digs into the rug and creates ripples, and it drives me up the wall. And I considered just sweeping this under the rug and not showing this and being like, everything's fine. But that's not the point of this series. So I'm actually going to try to solve this problem, at least somewhat. And then I'll let you know if it even works or not. Let me show you what the problem is. So we've got, see this little bubble right here? It's because this corner of the couch is heavy and it's kind of creating ripples because the carpet underneath is soft. And so I had this idea. Remember those sort of like hard plasticky things that people would put under rolling office chairs? This reminds me of the 90s. I'm probably not going to get one of those exactly, but I might. I headed over to the hardware store and found these large sheets of acrylic. They were really stiff and I thought they could do the job. I hadn't seen anyone do this specifically, but I'm just leaning on my own pedestrian understanding of physics. I brought one home and we placed it under the rug, but above the rug pad, right at the elbow of the couch. I will say it's a little funny to walk on because the rug gets pretty hard in that spot, but it's made a huge difference in avoiding the rug ripple. So with the rug handled, all that's left is finding some light sources and adding a few finishing touches. So you know where we're going. Let's just say the thrift gods were good to me. And I think that's because I've been singing their praises publicly. And if you sing the praises of the thrift gods, they will bestow their gifts upon you. So I found some really good finds. One being this lamp, this big lamp. This room did not have any large lamps yet, so very necessary. I think it still needs more, but I'm gonna throw this one in the corner by the red chair. I found this large candle for $5. I feel like this is the kind of wax that will like create a layer on the inside of your lungs, but it's cute. This is for the kitchen, but I mean, I couldn't not show it. I found this microscope and I used to use microscopes like this in college because I was a geology major. I have a long-held personal belief that if kids got to see rocks through a microscope in a thin section before college, more people would be geologists. I don't think this does polarize light, but I think it could be fun to like have out at a party with like, I don't know, some leaves, some bio stuff, and maybe some thin sections as well. So it's a personality pick, okay? This new free desk I got doesn't have any drawers, which is kind of a red flag for a work desk, but what can I say? I'm a sucker for looks. I found this pegboard and I'm thinking I'll put it in the corner over there and I can hang like my pen, I can put my pens and my scissors and my other goodies on here. I've seen some really cool pegboard inspiration images where it's colored, but I actually really like the color of this one. So I'll probably just leave it. So the thrift gods were good to me, but will the Norse gods be as kind? In hopes of continuing to lamp it up, I found this great lampstand called the Barlast for $10, and I thought it could be cool to build a paper lamp around it. The whole reason I even got on this paper lamp idea was because back in January, I stayed at an Airbnb in Sea Ranch that had this amazing paper light. And when I reverse image search for it, it appears to be by the designer Isamu Noguchi, who was an American furniture designer and landscape architect from LA, who had this incredible artistic career that spanned from the 20s to the 80s, so it's very fitting that his work was at the Sea Ranch house. These lamps are now going for $17.50 on the resale marketplace, so I thought I'd try my hand at this art form, and when I saw the cool kids in New York doing it, I had to give it a go. For my first attempt, I told myself I was just building a prototype to learn how the materials come together. I find that you learn so much faster by actually doing something rather than sitting there overthinking it and trying to make it perfect on your first go. Calling something a prototype kind of releases you from the burden of perfection. I was actually pretty happy with how this first one turned out, so I called my friends and said, we're having a crafting party. I tried to build something reminiscent of the Isamu Noguchi lamp by building a frame out of wire. While the idea was sound, it just wasn't the right material for what I wanted to make. But I gotta show you my flops because I always show you my slays. So I just scrapped it and tried again. But it was just a prototype, remember? So this time I tried again using some really thin dowels. And then I thought, what the heck, why don't I just double this and invert it? I think that would look cool. So that's exactly what I did. But here's the finished double lamp. I love it. I think I found a new hobby. This is seriously so fun, and somehow it looks way more legit than it feels while you're making it. I made these two little cutie pie candle holders at the pottery studio. They're a little wonky. The glaze, I only painted it on, so it kind of bled through, but I like the way they look. They look organic and oblong. Technically, this room started as a blank slate. And by blank slate, I mean it was a dumping ground for furniture we already owned. Now it feels like this. I'm gonna use the word groovy here. Dare I say it's groovy. We let the wall rug and the pillows guide the color palette, pulling in all of these muted primary colors. Choosing wood pieces in similar tones helped me create the look of a custom wall unit without actually having to shell out for one. Its dark weight is balanced against the lighter couch. I also took some of the weight off the warmth of this room by adding some nickel and stainless steel pieces to cool things down. And I've learned that all you need to make a room cozy is just a million tiny light sources. This room's decorated with art we already owned, lots of candles, and personal touches like this trophy of my failed career ambitions. My workspace finally feels intentional, with a lovely handmade lamp that gives me a really youthful glow on Zoom. The new favorite room in the house award officially goes to the living room. Room transformations on YouTube are a dime a dozen, but what makes this one special is that I let you be nosy and tell you how much everything actually costs. I hope to show people that you don't have to spend a fortune to change the look and feel of a room. So how much does it cost to take a room from drab to fab? Let's run the numbers. So as always, we'll go from least expensive to most expensive item. Now, I will say, when I started this project, I knew this room was going to be expensive because we spent almost $700 on the rug just to kick it off. However, we definitely saved where, oh, you know what? I think we spent 60 on that. The numbers are coming in live. I feel like it's election night coverage. We're just going to jump into it. Coffee table was free, side of the road. Lamp from grandma was free. Thanks, Donna. She watches. The shelf was a repurpose of the DIY we did in San Francisco. So we already had those supplies. Free. This desk from Facebook Marketplace was free. The ceramic candle holders were free because I made them at my pottery studio. We thrifted the pegboard, but it's like one of the IKEA pegboards, but we got it for $4. This fat candle, fat with a PH, was $5. The plant was $4 at Grocery Outlet. The lamp stand for this standing lamp was $10 at IKEA. It's called the Bar Last, which I'm sure is how they pronounce it. The microscope was $12. The light bulb kit, like the thing to hold this light bulb was 2 for $15. The pegboard decor and accessories were $15 at IKEA. Since it's a IKEA pegboard, learned that the hard way. This lamp was $20 from the thrift store. This side table was $20 from Facebook Marketplace. The mulberry paper I used was $20. I ordered a bunch of different kinds and then picked my favorite. So I'll link it below because I think it's a good one. And that roll just keeps going. We've made 4 lamps now. Still got more. I bought some reed for $20. I don't know if it was the optimal reed to buy, but it worked for this lamp. This silver tray was $29 from the Essential. The silver lamp on the desk was $30 from IKEA. We needed more pillows in the room, so I got these 2 brown pillowcase covers at IKEA, and they're really soft and lovely. So that was $40 total. The sheet of acrylic that went under the couch to make the rug not ripple was $49 at the hardware store. It's been a few weeks, I hate to admit, but it has. So I can say that it has made a significant improvement. So hack verified. And then the colorful pillowcase covers were $30 each. We got them at an open air market in Washington, D.C. They are just like the centerpiece of the whole room. They tie everything together. Pillows. So the pillows that stuff into the big IKEA ones were $30 each, and they're amazing. This rug here to cover the door was $118. I got it off of Etsy. I asked them, I'm like, can you do it without the tassels? And they were like, of course. Then they sent it to me with the tassels. But it's fine. I didn't complain. The 2-tier side table, that was $125. I bought that new from the Essential. The teak shelves were $360 together. And finally, the rug was $659. Our grand total comes to $1675 for 2 people to make over their lovely living room. Totally worth it to me. This room is like the best. It turns out all you need are 12 light sources. You know, I mentioned on this channel before that I'd love to have a room that hides the TV and hides the computer and sort of like creates an illusion that my life is different than it actually is. But after decorating this room and having it feel so good, I think there's something to be said for honoring the true function that this room typically serves. Like, primarily, I work in here every day. So having a nice dedicated workspace that feels functional and creative and clean feels amazing. And then while we do often have friends over and we all sit around the table and play games and talk, we also spend a lot of time sitting on the couch watching TV. And so, you know, letting this social side of the room serve both of those functions well and easily feels really honest. Appreciate you watching, and let me know what you think about fancy vintage chairs. I'm like a little scared about what I said about the Eames. The Eames people are going to come with their pitchforks. I do respect Ray and Charles Eames and their designs. I just think The Eames chair, in all its beauty, has become a bit of a design trope for the moderately informed, myself included. So, love to hear your thoughts on that one. Hey there. Did you know that there are other videos in this series? I've done the living room, dining room, and kitchen. So, go check them out. And if you haven't subscribed, consider it.